Hello everyone, this is Charlotte and this is once again me in a car chatting when I should be painting at home, possibly sleeping. Once again I'm snatching time, so trying to get the job done and some other stuff, multitasking. So yeah, so there's been some developments since my last podcast. I'll just say at the start first, because there is a disclaimer at the start of this podcast, because I do swear and talk about sensitive topics. So if you don't want to hear it, you can absolutely change the channel. I mean, this one might be particularly depressing for some. I don't know. I've only got 30 minutes to do it in anyway. Anyway, so the topic for today is Stoicism. And the reason I've chosen Stoicism for this particular topic, without going into too depth for the philosophical side of things, is because in my last podcast we got a call for my sister. I don't know if you've listened to the other podcast, but my dad's currently got bowel cancer, he's in hospital. I got a call for my sister when I dropped her off, thinking that she was going on the next leg of her journey back to the UK. We got a call at the gate saying Dad's been rushed to hospital. She got all the way to Melbourne before she got another call from my my mum, saying that my dad had his tumour. He has a tumour in his bowel. It had perforated the side of it or something like that, and it was leaking, which means that they can put him on antibiotics, but they can't really operate on it or do anything particularly useful. Once apparently there's a sac around it, so once it pops, it's done. You need to sort of work with what you've got. Which means that what we thought could potentially be months with him doing chemo, hopefully, because we were supposed to be giving him his medication to build him up so he could have the surgery to remove the tumour after chemo. The sac around the tumour has been broken or perforated something, so that's not an option anymore. Chemo would be redundant at this point, so basically they've just given him antibiotics to prolong the inevitable, which could be days or weeks at this point. And so my sister did a U-turn at the Melbourne gate, and instead of going on to Vietnam, she came straight back. So last night at about midnight I did an emergency run to the airport again. I'm currently on my way to work and when I get off work, I'm then going to do an hour-and-a-half drive down to the farm to drop her at the farm, pick up a car, and then head to the hospital where my dad currently is again. So it's a very up and down day, and as a person with autism, change is not a kind mistress to me, so we're heavily reliant on the Stoicism side of things at this moment, which is the keep calm and carry on motherfucker. So we're gonna keep going. I've had about 3 hours of sleep and not enough coffee to function, so I will definitely be on autopilot today. I think I got year 3, so they're pretty self-sufficient, but my brain just isn't going to be where it needs to be right now, so I'm just going to knock this one off and keep going. Unfortunately, if I had things like personal leave, if you're a casual teacher, you don't get personal leave, you don't get sick relief, you don't get long service leave. If you don't work, you don't eat. So unfortunately, yes, I do have to actually work today. I'd rather be at the hospital with my dad, considering he might, die any day now. So, but unfortunately, that's how the Department of Education works. So, assholes. You can just take the day off. So not if I'm the sole provider, idiots. So we're going to acknowledge that the department is fucked, and we're going to keep going. Because, compassionate leave, there is none. So my sister's currently sleeping at my house right now, so I had everything set up to get back into my routine that I had before she came last time, and we're at the point we're just working on our toes. So Stoicism in this sense is the case of adapting to change, rapid change in this response, and being able to address the emotions not block them out, and to keep running or walking, even if you have to go to a walk or a crawl, but you keep moving. Currently I am running. I've loaded up my I don't know how ethical this is. I've loaded up my drink bottle with a shit ton of pre-workout, so we're just going to hope the caffeine kicks in and I can keep going. So this is like day 2 of my meal plan, man. I was trying not to eat shit and emotionally eat, because I do these days tend to emotionally eat. Unfortunately, I got cancer in my first house, being an emotional person, Queen of Cups some days. But, you know, we're just going to adapt to see how we can. I was really hoping not to emotionally eat. But, you know, extraordinary circumstances, you operate under the conditions you can, right? But Stoicism, yeah, it's the pushing forward of keeping going. You know, World War II, keep calm, carry on. We acknowledge the problems we're facing, but we still try to utilize the resources and our own actions to benefit from it in some way. That could be constructive and not drag us down to the point of stopping. It came, you know, it's been, I don't remember who actually was the philosopher who coined it. Jesus Christ, that's a line of traffic. Anyway, keep piling the shit on top, let's keep going. So I will be tired today, so we'll see how we go. It's stopping, like, pile of traffic here, all the way down to the traffic lights. Holy shit, and we backed up. Okay, someone's given up, you keep going. 7:39. I gotta be there at 8. It's gonna be fun. You ever seen that meme with, is it Joe Pesci or whatever? It's, yeah, just keep piling the shit on. Keep piling the shit on. That's what it feels like right now, but we're going to get through it because they know I'm coming, even if I'm coming late. Never come late. That's rude. Shut up. The queen arrives mostly when she comes to. But yeah, you got to keep calm and carry on. If you start losing your wig, you're going to start having problems, because in the state of confusion and flustered energies, the purpose gets lost. We start losing traction with our actions. We start getting flustered and panicking. You panic, you're not going to have a good time. The best thing I can do right now is try and make some kind of working document plan, which I have just did, as I stated, and hopefully be able to adapt to any slight changes that might come ahead. So the directive at this point is to get to work. The directive last night was to get Leisha, get the package home, and get it home safely, even though it was like 2 o'clock in the morning and I was not awake. Screw the payload. What is the payload? Little sister. So once that was done, the next leg of the journey starts. You start mapping out what you need to get done. You don't sit there and sit on your ass and have a crisis situation where you're crying and stuff like that. I did get a bit teary though, I will say that, when I heard about what was going on with my dad at the moment, because he's in Bunbury Hospital right now. So that means I have to drive to Bunbury after work today. That's an hour and a half or so. But, you know, I haven't cut off my emotions. I know in my last podcast I was talking about the functionality of the situation, to use a more logical mindset, but you don't cut off your emotions completely. You can't do that. No one's immune to that. No one is a robot entirely. Stoicism is more in line with understanding the context, how it will impact you, trying to predict what the ripple effect would be and adapt your behaviors to produce an outcome. There are a lot of people that are emotionally unavailable. Oh yeah, flick a lit cigarette into a fucking ash bowl, you idiot. Oh my god. We're in Australia. Bushfires everywhere. Why not lit a flits? Oh, fucking stupid. It would be a ute. You hear that? It's a dickhead in a ute. They're not bright. It's like the pickup truck of Australia. They're fucking stupid. It's fucking lit still. Frat. But I'm going to be a little testy today. that you don't deny your feelings. And there's a lot of mixed feelings with this whole situation as well, because I've still got to deal with the relationship that I have with both my parents at the time. And while I was tearing up last night, the main thing was I was trying to isolate why I was upset about this situation. So I went internal, I went a little bit hermit, try to analyze why I'm upset about this. And is it the fear of loss? Is it affecting me directly? So if you go into the analysis side of why you're feeling these emotions, maybe you can reason out or take it a bit more logically as to how you should behave or respond or something like that. I don't know, maybe it helps. I tend to go into the analysis side of things because I'm qualified for it. So in terms of psychological pieces of paper that apparently matter. But the thing is, I was trying to pinpoint why I was upset. Bearing in mind, given the history of our relationship, and my dad was a berserker growing up, we didn't have much of an emotional bond. So I was sitting there thinking, is it the lack of emotion, the lack of connection, the desire for a father figure, the desire for a father figure that was actually a father figure, that would have protected us and stuff like that, and sort of lamenting the potential for it that is lost currently? Or is genuine sadness with regards to losing a human life? That's I'm more inclined to do. It's like, it's still a loss of life, which would make me sad. I know for sure and certain it's definitely not about me and how people present themselves as the center of this situation. I don't know if it's an American thing, but as soon as something goes bad, some people will make it about them. It's like, this is about me and how I feel, and oh my god, yeah, someone else is dying, but it's about me now. It's that kind of thing. It's definitely not that, because I understand and I can empathize with the experiences he's going through. I'm going, yes, I know why you were grumpy yesterday, because you're pissed off and you're sick and you're tired and you're fucking fed up with everything. I can understand that. So it is about you at this point. This is your day, this is your time period, and that's also why I got pissed off at Mum, because she kept trying to make it about herself. I'm going, it's not about you, shut up. But that's, as I said in the last podcast, that's been a pissing contest since we were kids. And I was trying to isolate what point was making me sad, and I couldn't figure it out. I was just sad in general. And this is a problem of autism as well, because I can't pinpoint why I would be upset. I just know that I am upset. It's hard to put the words to the feelings, to the origins of these things. It's like, I know I feel bad. I'm trying to figure out why I feel bad. And I didn't get very far. Is it the loss of father figure? Is it loss in general? Is it the loss of potential of relationship that could have been? Is it just generally a passing of life into the next world? We feel that we won't see them anymore. But if you've got any kind of a belief system like me, you know that they'd be prodding on the other side. And in the greater scope of things, this might be the next step to the next part of the project. It's like if Bob's passed through and he's helping me with projects on that side, Grandma and Nanny passed through, they're helping me with projects as well. Maybe this is his part in the great plan, in an esoteric sense. Eagle-eye vision as to what needs to happen next. He is the next key player in what needs to happen next in my bloodline's evolution, I guess. He's not needed on this side anymore, so maybe we need to push him over to that side so he can have some influence in the energy spheres, circles, ether, If you want to go that way, it's a bit whoop-de-whoop, but generally it's potential. So some people say, oh, you die and you go to heaven. It's like, I think he's got some shit to make up for on the next side, so they're going to keep him around. I don't think they're going to put him in storage. So you got enough shit to fix, bro. We're going to need you on the other side. What you didn't do or didn't fix in this life, you're going to need to do on the other side or in the next life. There must be a whole process. So, if you're facing any kind of hardship, obviously you want to be mindful of the feelings you're feeling, and how they're going to affect you in the greater scope of things. You don't want to be destructive with these emotions. You want to be constructive, because inevitably if you aren't constructive, everything you do will fail, because it will fuck up, you'll panic, you'll go into a self-sabotaging, destructive mode, and you'll give up. And there is no reason to do that with a natural inclination to the survival instinct. The human condition, the human cycle is designed to survive. So I do wonder where the victim mentality kind of self-sabotaging shit comes from. I do theorize that it comes from some kind of natural design as well for a kill switch. But that's usually something that's put off until an older age, you know. When we become, you know, dementia-ridden and senile, we tend to want to do riskier things that top us, essentially. When we see it in younger people that are not, you know, in the 80s or 70s or 80s, we question what kind of psychological damage might have caused this kill switch engage sort of thing. It's like you've got your own internal trigger. It's like survival mechanism or anti-survival mechanism. So I do question what has happened to these kids where they suddenly feel compelled to do risky business, which they know common sense wise is not going to help them. Come on, dude, I gotta get to fucking work today. It's a problem. I'm driving through industrial areas, so you've got a shitload of trucks and semis and fucking taking up space and slowing traffic. So it's like, I mean, there's also weird, because there's also a question of how much psychological damage do you have that you want to top yourself. I do concern myself with that at times, because I was suicidal when I was 17, but that was an excessive pressure around me and just not being able to cope, because I wasn't psychologically developed enough to understand why this much pressure was on me or find ways to cope with it, and I did feel trapped, which is not a good thing. But if I kept in mind at the time that this is temporary, I'm only here until I can legally move out, because that was the thing at the time. My parents were like, if you try and run away, we'll get the cops to drag you back. And it's like, they probably fucking would, and they'd be working within the confines of the law. So that compounded on the situation where I felt trapped. I didn't see a way out, because the laws around me were working to do what they wanted, and even if they were abusive, I would have got dragged back. So that was playing on my mind. It also affected things like my eating disorder and stuff. You feel trapped, you need some kind of control. The only thing I had control over was my food, and I refused to eat. And even then, my mum was like, if you don't start eating, we're going to force feed you. So it's been a fucked up time period, but you learn the skills for Stoicism quite early in life, maybe, or at least gradually over time. Is definitely not the shutting off of emotions. You still need to feel those emotions. If you don't feel those emotions, you will crack. You will just snap. You'll have a meltdown, maybe a midlife crisis. Go away, phone. Yeah, I'm gonna need that pre-workout. My brain's not with it right now. And it does more damage. I mean, once you've lost your mind, in a not fun way, your body takes over, sort of thing. You'll find that that's some good pre-workout. You'll find that your body starts breaking down from stress exposure. Like at the moment, my dad, even though he is obviously physically sick and on his last legs, you could tell the lead up to his rundown was partly psychological, because he wasn't sleeping, he was grumpy, he was run down and tired, and you know, it was partly psychological. It might have been a symbiotic relationship where he was feeling shit and it was affecting his psychological side, but also his psychological side was affecting his physical side. So it's like a feedback loop. But he's handled this, from what I can see, quite well, considering the circumstances he finds himself in. I don't know if I would have handled it quite as well, considering the sudden quickness of all the events occurring. there was such an idea, because they kept us in a vague sense of what could be happening, the doctors. We went from the general doctor to an oncologist to another general doctor, to just bouncing around, keeping us in a general state of vagueness that we don't quite know what's going on, but we know it's not good. So he handled that quite well. I wouldn't have been able to handle the vagueness, essentially, because I need to work within confines. I need to know the unknown. I don't do well with the unknown, even though, you know, in life sometimes you are not given the choice, you just need to jump. The best thing I can do to encourage Stoicism in my particular example is to know the unknowns and try to find out as much as possible. That gives me a sense of settled. You might still have that generalized anxiety going on, but at least you've got a settled mentality when it comes to sorting out what you need to do next and how you need to proceed. I know for a fact I need to work today. That's a known for me. I know for a fact I need to drop Leisha off at the farm so she can do her thing. If there is time, I will go and visit, but I still have other shit I need to be at, so I will try to get there. Although with this, again, was all sorted yesterday or the day before when we all had that family lunch or whatever, so it's still the finalized version of it, but we will find action for extras if need be. Supplements, extra time if we can. But generally it's you work with what you got. And given the quicken sense of this, we didn't really have much time to work with, in a sense. So if he does pass through while I'm at work, I won't have a choice anyway. I'm not a doctor, but I'm not qualified to help him in any way. I have technically already said my goodbyes because he wasn't well when I left. We kind of all collectively knew what was going to happen. Eminem's an odd fellow. I like him, but he's odd. You listen to the lyrics as an adult, you're like, what the fuck? We were listening to this as kids. My kids at work are now listening to Eminem because he did a comeback with Houdini, and you're like, oh my god, please don't. We know what the lyrics are. But no, you find allowances, you try to make things work. This is one of those few examples where you can try and cram things in to make it work. Multitasking, multi-layer multitasking, there's a fucking thing. Trying to organize things while you're doing a million other things in different spheres. Like, I compartmentalize things. I say, this is work, this is what I do here, and then I move over to a different time frame and I go and do that stuff over there. I segregate things when it comes to task prioritization. I don't mix them if I can, because it becomes too clouded and I don't like the way they operate when they interact with each other. It's confusing. But in this extreme example, I'm going to have to just throw myself in and hope it works. So, you know, arms flailing behind me. Let's hope we get there on time and everything works and the system runs. So, you know, and I'm meandering. I'm just trying to keep my brain awake right now as well. So you're not always going to get a choice in how things lay out. You can plan for the best possible outcome. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to work. Doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to have a say in the final outcome. With regards to sort of esoteric terms, the universe will provide an outcome. It might be in line with what you want, somewhat, but it's never exactly what you want. It's a rarity that you would get exactly what you asked for. Half of that is people asking for shit in vague terms, not being specific, and part of it as well is your story has to line up with every other fucking story in this. So if you ask for $1 million, that $1 million got to come from somewhere. It doesn't just arrive out of nowhere. Everything's linked. It's a symbiotic relationship in the ether. If you're trying to sell your house, someone has to buy your house, they have to sell their house. Everything has a knock-on effect, a butterfly effect. So we would hope that they can do something about what was going on with my dad right now. The reality of the situation is he's sick, he left it too long. Even the most skilled oncologists, surgeons, whoever is dealing with it possibly can't do anything because the timing is wrong. They've got the resources, obviously, they've got the people, but the timing is wrong. We left it too late. And that's a factor we need to consider as well. It's like maybe it was just down to timing, leaving it too late. I wouldn't blame the doctors for not doing their job. I know they're skilled to a certain degree, to this degree, because otherwise it would be their job's worth, wouldn't it? If he makes it, great. If he doesn't make it, okay. We've got stuff to do. We keep pressing on. It's a bit hard. It feels a bit heartless at the time, but to understand functionalism as a situation, you can't get bogged down in too much emotions. You can't just give up. There is a time and place for grieving at this point. I've grieved a little bit already because I know what I'm becoming. And I did it in my downtime, and I did it when I was alone because I don't like public shows of grief. That's just the way. That's a trauma response, possibly. Some people have no problem crying in public. My sister was crying at the airport when she got to the Melbourne gate, which I found funny. She hates it more than I do. She's like, I was crying and the people were trying to help me get my bag off the thing, and I'm sitting there going, dude, don't worry, this is like an extreme example of it's okay to cry, it's alright, this doesn't happen every day, this is not your problem, it's not your fault, it's nothing can be done, just let it happen, okay? But she's like, because my mum raised us to be tough, you don't cry. So when it actually comes to a time when it's appropriate to cry, it's difficult to. Like the build-up I've had for the last couple of weeks, knowing that my dad is sick, I've been trying to find time to cry. I cannot, it's like fucking edging. as kinky as it sounds, in a horrible, weird way. It's always getting close to, but never actually. It's like I want to cry, but I can't do it. It was horrible. And I don't know if that's some kind of trauma response where it's sort of been beaten out of us that we don't cry. But I was doing all kinds of shit. I was watching chick flicks. Because I felt low energy for the last week or so. I was watching chick flicks. I was eating copious amounts of junk food, trying to get myself into the depression threshold, because that's how sugar affects me. It doesn't give me a high in happiness. It gives me a depression. It spirals. I was trying to peak, essentially. But, I didn't cross the threshold. And it wasn't until I got that call saying Dad had been gone to hospital. Not because he'd fallen over, we just thought, he'd fallen over. But because it had perforated the sac around the tumour. Did I actually give it a couple of hours and then went, oh! So I do feel, tisms do feel, it's just maybe a delayed response while we're processing, or, we do feel. It just takes a while to hit home, I think, and to understand the gravitas of it. And there's also a question mark above whatever we're feeling, I guess, because you're trying to understand where these feelings are coming from and why. Is it normal? So I checked on my sister, and I started crying when she told me about the people that were helping her get her luggage off and how they stepped in and rearranged all her plane ticket and stuff, and just so easily and off the cuff, and it wasn't a problem. We'll sort all this out and it'll all get done, and you just worry about you and get on that plane and get home to your dad, sort of thing. I lost it when she told me that. I'm like, oh my god, that's so nice. And you might reason that's their job, that's what they're supposed to be doing, but at the same time it was someone spontaneously stepping in to help. They didn't have to. They could have just said, well, no refunds, no nothing. If you want to fly home, you got to pay more. All that extra shit. It's that kind of shit that makes me, regain hope for humanity at that point. It's like, I know you did it because you get paid to, but at the same time, you didn't have to. And I'm grateful for that. They acknowledged, like, they obviously weren't raised like us. They acknowledged that this was a shit experience. And maybe you shouldn't just toughen up. Maybe you should feel your feels and just carry on. They knew she needed to get home. This was an emergency. No questions asked. They shuffled her off to another room so she could, get teary in private and not in public, which is also a nice thing to do because you don't want to be embarrassed. And they helped her get home. What is that noise and where's it coming from? I hear sirens. What is today? Everything's getting piled on. Is it coppers? Coppers going up the wrong side of the room? Possible. But it was much appreciated. I think, I don't even know if that was Jetstar, it was someone. It was the people who she got to at the gate. I think it was Jetstar people, but also the airport people. So it was very much grateful for that. Crazy. But they handle it well, and it's little spontaneous gestures like that make me feel better about the way humanity goes. Because at the moment, you do get a feeling there's a lot of selfishness, but at the same time, there's also a willingness to work together, to commit to a goal, essentially. It's the selfishness that breaks down anything like Stoicism, because you feel isolated and alone. Working in alliances towards a common goal will promote Stoicism. We saw that with the Second World War, with the Blitz, and trying to rebuild after that, and trying to home everyone, trying to get systems running where everybody was fed and clothed and safe. We're seeing it currently with Ukraine. I'll hop on those till the day I go. It's like, I'm thoroughly impressed with the way they're handling that shit. It's that keep going. And you watch the footage of when they're at home in their own cities, and they're hearing sirens and things, and the shelling and stuff like that. And I'm watching these teachers shuffle these kids from what is normal classrooms to the bunker classrooms. And I'm sitting there going, as a teacher, I understand what the fuck is going on. And the panic you are feeling whilst you are trying to calmly get these kids to a safe zone. I can understand that. I absolutely relate to that. Not that I can relate to the shelling, but the panic of trying to get these fuckers somewhere in an orderly fashion calmly is insane. And the frustration that goes with it as well. Like, we've had prep lockdowns in case there were things like active shooters and shit like that. We've had to do emergency things like that, because some areas we go to work in, there are kids with knives, and, and you have to do either a yellow alert, which is just a kid being a dick and running around smashing things, or a red alert, which is active weapon on site. So, you know, we have to learn those things. We have to get the kids to be absolutely dead quiet. Do you know how fucking hard it is to get kids to be absolutely dead quiet when it's a novelty experience and they think it's all fun and fucking games? It's insane. Absolutely insane. Oh my god, don't take my ass off. Jesus. But it's crazy. I can truly appreciate how the shit they have to go through, because they're doing it at like boss level compared to what we're doing. It's like, fuck. That is Stoicism, definitely. And then you've got the other people who are just having to live in these places, who don't want to give up and just fuck off, you know? It's like, this is our home, we're defending it, sort of thing. So I'm definitely on their side when it comes to discussing that kind of conflict, or that conflict in particular. I can't understand why it's gone on this long, and honestly I don't think Russia should give up, quite frankly, because you've just been disgustingly cruel at this point. It's not right, and it wasn't right to begin with, obviously, but now it's just been compounded by the arrogance and ego. I hope it gets resolved in a way where Ukraine gets to keep all its stuff, to be honest, because it's their right. You can't just march in and take shit. I won't even go into imperialism, but you know, it's the new form of imperialism, isn't it? It's not a case of royalty doing it anymore. It's now a case of governments doing it. You just walk in and take shit, or blow shit up until they say it's broken, and then nobody wants it, so we'll take it. Hint, Gaza Strip. You know, it's bullshit. People want it. The people of Gaza want it. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? You can't just claim that it's broken and no one wants it. If you say it loud enough, then it's right. It's like, you are full of shit. So, I don't know. Gazans are going through some shit too, where you'd have to be stoic. I mean, us in our suburban areas have got nothing compared to those guys. Best thing I think you can do is just make a plan. Make a plan if you can. Look at your assets. As I said, it's like whenever you're doing anything, you need to make a plan. I mean, it might be just working document plan, but you got to have something to work with. The panic and fear, you need to be able to work through it, not just let it consume you. It's like there's no panicking going on at this point on my end, because we've been conditioned from a young age to live in chaos and crisis situations. So we've all sort of banded together and taken point with this project that is getting Dad and my mum sorted, to be honest, getting Alicia back on board in the country and onwards to the next step. It's not a case of everything's panicking, we can't figure this out, and I think all of us have sort of pulled our weight with regards to this. Try to find ways and time to get the job done. Panicking only fucks you up. It's never your friend. It might give you an adrenaline rush, which might help you propel forward at the same time, but it's scattered energy. It's not helpful in terms of getting the job done, because you can never anticipate what really is going to eventuate from your panic episode. And if you're anything like me and you have panic attacks, it's really not fucking helpful. I'm anticipating that punch coming up sooner or later, because this is some fucked up experiences. It's usually once I've come out of the situation that's caused the anxiety and it's just built up. Once I've come out of that, I feel like it might hit, but I'm trying not to. I'm trying to logic shit out at this point, because I just don't want to have to go through another panic attack, because it's a horrible experience and you can't really predict when it happens. Get off my ass, buddy. That's another thing, because I got CPTSD. I'm already preconditioned to react in particular ways. At the moment, I'm in the middle of the inferno of the crisis, so I'm doing okay. So, fucking weirdly, at this point, I'm used to it, so we carry on, we propel forward, we just take it in a stride and keep running. When the eye of the storm hits, the crisis situation, say when he actually does pass through, if he does pass through, then it will be a case of maybe a panic attack will hit, and then afterwards, past the eye of storm, it's a case of dealing with what my mum is doing. That's going to be the other half of the tornado, essentially. We're right in the eye of, you're not in the eye of the storm yet. We're not in the clear yet to know what's to go on with the project. We are in the first half of it, which is just mental. Come on, guys, get down the fucking road. See, I'm gonna get frustrated. I can see it, even though I'm incredibly tired. I'm gonna get frustrated at everybody else's fuckery. It's like, you inefficient fucks, move. That's what's gonna get me. Oh, please don't call. I'm hoping the place, because I'm running 10 minutes late now. I'm hoping the place I'm going to doesn't try and call me while I'm driving, because I will lose my shit. I am literally on my fucking way. But, you know, you got to adapt to these circumstances. Dealing with idiots that are doing 10 under in this overtaking lane is going to shit me off. I can see that happening, because it's an inefficient move. It's like, I ain't got time for your dumb fuckery. So it's going to be little things. But hopefully once I get into my classroom, I'm going to be alright. And I can just sort of not keep what's going on with my dad front and center. It's going to be playing on my brain all day, but it's going to be the functionalism, the autopiloting to get the job done, so we can go and deal with what the real matter is after work. So I don't have a choice in this, so we keep fucking going. I'm hoping I don't cry at work, but I can't predict when that shit happens for some reason. It just seems to be coming and going, which is exactly what happened with my fucking divorce. All kinds of shit. That just seems to be the way I grieve. Spontaneous shit out of nowhere. So I would like to keep it concealed on the toilet and in the shower, but you know, like a grown-up, but you know, apparently it's just spontaneously coming out of fucking nowhere. But we cope. And you got to have some self-forgiveness in that, because it's not your fault. It's nothing I could control if I wanted to. We just got to sit through it and get through it, grit your teeth. I mean, we're going through, if you want to go into the planetary side of things, we're going through some serious fucking emotional retrogrades right now, so people are going to get testy and cry in general at this point. It's going to be emotional. So if you want to go into that whoop-de-whoop side of things, it's something about this week. I think the planets aligned on the 28th. They went into their planetary dance. I don't know how often that happens. There's probably a timing for it, but generally, if you're into the astrological side of things, it will fuck up a load of stuff in your head and your energy. But you know, those who are raised in chaos work with what they know. We were raised in chaos, and we were raised to perform in chaos, which is great and bad, but great. It's terrible, but it's great. So we're gonna keep running. I don't do victim shit, so we're gonna keep moving. If I can treat this as a list of objectives, I think I would do better. I don't usually do. So what do I need to get to next? What's the next step? What needs to lead on to what? And that's good because I have sort of network thinking. I know everything feeds onto each other. The knock-on effect will actually get the project running. And that's, you know, where you get the mindset of, oh, is that funny? Oh, good. Okay, so this is my turn off. I'm 15 minutes late. Great. That's fine. I'll sneak in. They won't notice. They like me. Fuck you guys. There's traffic jam up there. I'm going this way. But yeah, the network thinking, as long as you understand the routes in which the tasks need to occur, you can bang them out, maybe multiple at a time. Like I'm still working on my businesses at this point. I've got a bunch of parcels I need to post of things I've sold online. I sold over the long weekend and everything was shut, so I need to get that done. So that's time sensitive as well. So I'll do that after work on the way, then head over to Leisha, pick up her. It's knock. So we'll bang it all out, and eventually I'll pass out maybe tonight or tomorrow, if I can, for a few hours, and then go on to the next set of things. It is very machine-ish, if that makes sense. Automated. It's good because that's how I operate the best. I don't leave room for Christ. That could come with like this generalized social anxiety as well. I don't like tweaking that shit, so I will Uber prep as best I can to avoid that horrible cold sweat, clammy feeling and the screaming on the inside, which just disrupts my brain. So prep is key. If you're going through Stoicism events, prep as much as you can, which is perfect considering I got the TISM, because we love prepping. I'm designed to win in this scenario. But ultimately you want to prep as much as you can. Obviously you're not going to get everything done. You're not going to factor in everything that could affect the project or the plan or the directive. But you still try, don't you? You know, you can't prepare for everything, but you can prepare for most. And if you're not preparing, if you fail to prepare, you prepare to fail. That's a common saying. People know that much. You sit on your ass, do nothing, and nothing occurs. Well, that's what you that's what you expect. So prep, regulate your emotions. Don't harbor them. Don't internalize them because you will snap. Look for allies. I've got my siblings are currently my allies. We've been looking for distributing tasks amongst the four of us while we can, where we can. I think my brother's probably taking today off so he can go sit with my dad while he's doing his thing. He actually has sick leave because he's on contract. I don't have sick leave, so I have to work. It's you know, you're looking for alliances to designate tasks. Don't think that you can go it alone. It would be stupid to try and take the full weight on. I mean, each of us siblings are conditioned through the way we were raised to try and take things on individually, and a lot of us take on a lot of stuff that we shouldn't take. We're like 20 minutes late. Because we were, you know, hyper-independence was encouraged. But at this time point, with this particular context, we need to work towards alliances, building alliances with good communication skills. First thing my younger sister did was start a Viber chat group of just the kids, so we could organize our shit without worrying about what mum would think. I know, it's horrible. You go back to your parents, you revert to being a kid again. All the kids get together saying, these fucking parents. No, it's not like that. We're just trying to get shit running in the background so she doesn't have to stress. Because if she stresses, she will piss us all off and fuck the project up, basically. So we keep that running in the background. It's only ever, what can we do? It's not, you know, like bitching about her or anything. It's just what needs to get done, who's going to do what, where are we going. So good communication amongst your allies is the best policy as well, because you don't know what the fuck's going on. You don't know what needs doing if you don't have that communication. Sharing of resources as well is probably going to help as well. Currently, time is our resource. Joe's got the best option. My older sister works in childcare. She's an hour and a half away from my parents. So while she does have time to go down, it's not going to be as much as, say, my brother, who gets paid to take time off. My youngest sister just came back, so she's going to have the runaround as well. She's going to have a lot of time to help my mum. So her and my older brother will probably do the bulk of it while I'm operating at this time, trying to get my shit together. I'm gonna go park in the car spot. Do you want to slow the fuck down? It's a 40 zone. These are your kids, not mine, brother. Fucking morons. Oh, is there any spots? Is there? Oh, I'm sorry. Shit for brains. It's a 40 zone. These fuckers are doing like 70 going through a 40 zone. So you just assholes. Just assholes. Kids running around. Yeah, just fucking run them over. I'm going to have to leave it there, I think, because I just pulled up to work. So hopefully if you're facing any kind of crisis situation, you'll use Stoicism to get through it. Don't just shut off your emotions. Work through them. Utilize them if you can. I mean, even anger, for example, can be the best rocket fuel for getting shit done. Don't let it destroy you. Use it as fuel to get the job done. I'm going to leave it there. Hopefully you guys have a better Tuesday than I am. I'll keep you updated maybe if you're interested in what's going on with my dad. If you're not, then it's just a side note, isn't it? You don't have to be concerned about that. Take it easy, and I will see you another time.